Alright, let us work on Pillars of Eternity some more. Getting pretty close to the end of the main campaign. I know there's still DLC left and I have some side quests, but today we're going to focus on the main campaign story and see where we get. The nice thing about Pillars of Eternity is by and large the load screens and the loading times are short, all except for the initial load when you load your saved game. The initial loading does take a bit. I apologize for that. Alright, so let's take a look and make sure we don't have any outstanding issues. I'm not going to purchase that. Alright. We've got a quest for him. Not for him, but I don't want to get rid of him. Quest for him still. Quest for her still. All those players, I think their quest takes place in various areas of Twin Elms. So let's head out that way. Alright.
Amazing. You could fit a whole village in here.
Okay, so the main quest, we have to go to Elm's Reach.
Hey. Yeah?
Yes?
Ready, Watcher.
Elm's Reach. 1 day, 19 hours. Azura leaves the stronghold. That's fine. Okay, let me see. Where are we? Okay, it's another city type area. You can tell because the fog of war is already cleared up. So let's talk to this guy. Mind your paths, Estromor. The guided compass trusts easily, but I don't. Great Linus has grown old and no longer has claim over the sacred lair in Galawain's Maw. Hey, can any of these people be talked to? Nope. Let's go in this house since it's right here and take a look at what's going on.
Steady does it.
Spread across a lumpy pallet of straw, the hide blankets are surprisingly soft. Oh, I could take this. Doesn't count as stealing. A wreath of straw woven with animal bones hangs from the shelf. Make yourself useful. You're within our hearth now. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're done here. Okay.
Sure.
Just more warnings. Okay. Let's go in here. I thought
I
there
shall
was
be
some
quiet as a
suspicious.
calm sea, which is not very quiet.
Light armor. Can't even click on it. Let's take a look at that light armor. Actually, it's pretty good. Let's see what we could give it. Intellect 2. Freeze proof. Alright. So let's see where to go to next. Let's go talk to these
Sure.
guys. A Glanfathan woman stares at the ground, her bushy eyebrows frown in a straight line. Never before has a man slipped past with so much ease. A sign, a dark sign. An elven man waves his hand in an arc over the ground. It has come to pass. At the end of the motion, his long fingers close into a fist. We could not have foreseen it. The Dalamgan could not either.
Builder's wisdom to you.
The woman shakes her head. And what does that tell us? She notices you, her thick eyebrows arching in surprise. Estermore, excuse us. We are not used to your kind here under the great trees. If we can assist you, we will. Dalamgan, where are they? They are ancient children of the great elms. Our people have lived with the two sisters in peace since we arrived hundreds of years ago. Dalamgan call us friends. We call them our own kin. Our protection, their wisdom. Together we share a strong bond. They have always lived under the shadow of the great elms. Walk until you cross the stream, and there you'll find the Dalamgan sisters. Tell me about the man you speak of. Not Glanfathan. Broke into the tower, here in Elm's Reach. Nobody saw him come, not even the Dalamgan. He moved in silence, like a Stalgar in the shadows. Our hunters caught no scent until it was too late. But we heard the stones crack. When he stepped inside Terror Evran, dark omen, I say this. Check out this house. Peace upon your hearth.
Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves.
The fire gives off the thick, rich odor of burning peat. Hall of Warriors. Let's head there next.
And what does the flame reveal?
Alright, let's head in the house. First still smells of freshly cooked game. Grease spatters the blackened bricks. The table's scarred and stained from years of use. Though simple and unadorned, the blades are made of sharp and finely tempered steel. Alright, let's go ahead and save our game. Traveled a bit.
What brings you here?
A grizzled old elf, his hair braided and dyed, stands at one end of the hall, his arms and chest are cross-hatched with the pale seams of scars. His crooked smile looks like another. It's not many Estromorn who are permitted into our sacred city. Bethel must be feeling especially soft today. Eder pays no attention to the elf, and instead has locked eyes with the Stelgar in front of him. He whispers to you, "Do you think he'd mind if I pet his Stelgar?" Saganis lowers her head. "Remember how well that worked out last time?" Come to hear your future at Ter Evron? His smile widens, exposing a row of yellowed crooked teeth, or to make your own at Blood Sands. What's Blood Sands? An ancient place of sacrifice. He laces his fingers together. In a cave by the great elms themselves. Reston and his druids have been an integral part of Glanfathan's society for generations. No matter what some of the other tribes might say, Eir Glanfath has held its own against the Estromorn because some of us still understand the power of sacrifice. He gives you an appraising eye. Does the thought make you uncomfortable? It should. It is what's kept our society alive for so long. Simak crosses his arms over his scarred chest. Something else? You don't seem fond of us, Estromorn. His hunched shoulders straighten. I fought in the Broken Stone War and the War of Black Trees. I saw my brethren cut down defending the places of the builders, and I shed blood alongside Galvin Regd himself. He coughs. Now the Estromorn seem to think that they will find a cure for their empty children among our sacred sites. Or worse, that they will find sanctuary in our lands. His gaze darkens, and I've seen what happens when they set their sights on Glanfathan soil. Well, he does have a point, Herivase mutters under his breath. You learn not to trust your neighbors when they defile your lands habitually for several generations. Herivase folds his arms and shrugs. He's got all the reason in Eor to worry. And this worries you? He snorts. I've seen too many wars for this not to worry me. In my 250 years, I've led my people through 2 wars. Our borders have remained intact, and largely through the reputation of Three-Tusked Stelgar. His voice drops to a growl. I've sired a dozen children, but none have been deemed fit to take my place. I care nothing for the legacies that obsess the Estromorn lords, but it is important that my successor continue this path. Is your role hereditary? Not entirely. We believe that the souls of our ancestors come back to us, that a strong soul may bear many more. But all souls must be tested by our elders. The Riel looked first among my children for a successor, but their souls were weak. Ordinarily, they would turn to others in my tribe, to clan heads and their families. Ordinarily, he levels his gaze, but we share a tradition of fostering the children of other tribes, and the Anamfath of Fishercrane has trusted his youngest to my care. He grimaces, and as none of my own blood are fit to take my place, the Riel will look next to his bog child, the kin of another Anamfath, and my foster daughter, to take my place. You should be so lucky, Herivase chirps. This young Fishercrane lass is a great gift. You should be thankful. Herivase's voice becomes a low whisper, especially given your familial feebleness. Couldn't you just send her back to her family? He shakes his head slowly. That would be a grave insult to the Fishercrane. The repercussions with the other Anamfatha would be severe. I have no doubt that she would make a fine leader, but not among Three-Tusked Stelgar. The Orlans of Fishercrane have lived in Thane Bog for 1,000 years. They are cunning and furtive by nature, which serves them well when they have swamplands to hide their movements. He crosses his arms, but this will not deter the Estromorn on open ground. I think you underestimate what a few stealthy archers can do. He points at the warriors gathered near the fire. Our savagery has deterred the Estromorn from further encroachment. They still tell of our deeds in the Broken Stone War. But if a child of Fishercranes leads our tribe, we will lose that boldness, and the Estromorn will lose their fear of us. The child will be influenced by the souls of her ancestors. In times of crisis, she will look to her kin in Thane Bog for guidance. No matter what I might try to teach her, it will not be enough. He considers you. There is a way you could help. Few have the stomach for it, but I think you have the perspective to see why certain unpleasantness may be necessary. Say nothing, Stoic. This Orlan girl has the soul of a leader. If it were passed to one of my own offspring, our tribe would remain strong. The Stelgar at Simak's side scratches its massive head on the Anamfath's leg. He remains steady on his feet. The Druids of Bloodsands have a way to do this, and they understand the importance of a strong line of succession for Three-Tusked Stelgar. Eddard rubs the bridge of his nose. He rattles his head as if to clear cobwebs. So, all we have to do is steal a baby's soul. What's the catch? He gives you a key. There's a house in southeast Hersong next to the river. The child will be asleep, and I've arranged for her to be unattended for a time. His voice becomes a quiet rumble. Take her and bring her to the Keeper Werder on Bloodsands. She knows what must be done. When she presents you with liquid essence, bring it back to me. What will keep her with her do with the child? Scarred face twists again. Have you seen the rituals of Blood Sands? She will sacrifice her. It is the only way to distill her essence. Be easier to kill this fellow and distill his essence. The Orlan child? Go on. I don't see why you need me to do this. Because I cannot do it without attracting undue attention, he frowns. I don't relish passing my own burns on to another, but this will incite war between our tribes if I am caught. How can you possibly expect to get away with this? Few know the girl is here, and one Orlan babe will look much the same as the next, he shrugs. But let me worry about this. Tell me about the potion you need from Werda. Essence bound and distilled into a liquid. It will have little immediate effect on me, but it will weave a stronger soul in my future issue. I won't do this. I do not relish the deed, but 2 centuries of leadership has taught me that all things bear a cost. He nods once. Consider it well, Estermore. I'm not above rewarding those who are of service. Tell me about the 3 Tusk Stelgar, the boldest and fiercest of the 6 great tribes of Eric Glanfath. It was we who first defended against the Estermorn who came to shore 200 years ago. He raises his chin. We have always been the border tribe, and it has always fallen to us to hold the line against outsiders and invaders. Here, Vess leans in with a whispered voice. The way they keep mentioning battles of old, you think they're the 3 Tusk Martyr tribe. They are indeed fierce, and their history is rife with glorious deeds. I sometimes think they'd fight the other tribes if they didn't have trespassers to hunt. What do you do here? As Anamfath of 3 Tusk Stelgar, I guide our tribe in all matters. He looks to the main room of the hut, where others have gathered. I am in Twin Elms to confer with some of the other Anamfatha about the Onulfen, your Hollowborn. One who have such births here on occasion, but has made us more vigilant about our neighbors. One Stelgar stretches, flexing its claws. Simac's eyes narrow. There are some of us who believe your Onulfen to be a punishment for the defilement of the Builder sites. Others say it's a plague carried by the Estermorn. People make it what they want it to be, and when it ends, if it ends, they'll make up reasons for that too. I don't want to do the job. They want me to kill a child because they don't like the leader that it will become. Uh-oh. Lyris, a young man, approaches you with a swift and purposeful stride. While you never met him before, he has the same stern, wild look as Seamock. He doesn't speak until he's right next to you. When he does, his voice is quiet. Wait, I spotted you speaking with my father. Say nothing, Stoic. He glances back at the room of Seamock. He's asked you to sacrifice Vela, hasn't he? He grits his teeth. Maybe he's right about 3 Tusk Stelgar growing weak, but if this is the price of strength, it isn't worth it. The tribes have survived this long because we've stuck together. Skani does a double take. Kid, are you sure that old elf's your father? Do you have another idea? He frowns. There's an herbalist among the Ovates of the Golden Grove. Bleda, that's her name. They all gather southeast of here by the river. She could brew a poison. Seamock won't know the difference until it's too late. There's the family resemblance. Why not just return this child to her birth parents? It's complicated. A child sent to be fostered by another tribe isn't allowed to return. Unfortunately, explaining that we're shielding her from my father would make matters much worse for both tribes. He tugs at a thin braid. You want me to murder your father? No, but it's better than allowing him to murder this child. There's an easier way to kill Seamock, you know. His warriors would surround you in no time. Besides, it's simplest if this happens quietly. Let me guess, if Seamock dies, you're next in line. It's not like that. The Riau have already determined that my soul isn't strong enough. Whoever follows my father, it won't be me. I've got to think about this. He scowls. I hope you don't have to think too hard about it. With another glance at Seamock's chamber, he backs towards the door. I'm warning you now, Estermore. Don't go anywhere near Vela. I'm my father's son in one regard, anyways. What are you doing, you crazy kitty? Kill a strong leader of a tribe or kill a child. Those are my two options. What great options. Clear water tastes sweet and refreshing.
You have stayed true to our cause, Inquisitor, when so many others have not. For every heretic we confess, for every betrayer that burns on our pyres, new sheep continue to flock to Iavara Exencios. But not you. I underestimated you in the beginning, but no longer.
You honor me, Grand Inquisitor.
It is not for honor that I summoned you today, but for duty. Too many of our own have confessed upon the wheel and the rack and the flame. Too many of our faithful have had their minds poisoned by the Kratom witch. The tide is against us now. We have but one option. Iavara's following must see her exposed for what she is. She must confess her heresy before my court.
How would we reach her?
Not in Kratom, surely. Their lord has embraced her heathen faith and protects her with his army. But in Oceanus, things would be different. The king of Oceanus is a sinful man. We have helped him to see the error of his ways, and now he fears for his soul. He would pay any price for absolution.
But how would we get Iavara to move to Oceanus?
You have already done much for the Inquisition. I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
Golden leaves flash and shine as they fall from the trees.
Hail, Estramor.
Though his eyes are closed and his posture still, the man before you keeps his head aimed at you as if carefully following your movements. Hail to you. May your time in the Golden Grove be enriching. And hail to you, Autumn Orlon, the man says with a bow to Herivas. Herivas' eyes widens in surprise, and his one good ear stands on end. How on Aora did you... The man's eyes remain closed, and he says with a smile, Tranquility begets a receptive mind. He opens his eyes, revealing brown irises clouded with the beginnings of cataracts. With my eyes open, I see your birth form. But when I look inward, and with this he closes his eyes again, I see the Autumn Stalgar. Let Herivas talk. I don't know how you could sense it, but you're right about me being the Stalgar. What do you know about the beast? Why was I ostracized just for being able to assume its form? Is there a cure? Tamarin smiles. His eyes remain closed. I know the beast is often sent by Galawain as a sort of trial. Many Anamfatha are tested by the Autumn Stalgar. Those bested and consumed by the beast have their soul torn from their bodies and lost for all time. So, my tribesmen were right. Herivas looks crestfallen. His posture slumps. His gaze drops to the ground. Are you saying I have such a terrible power? This must be some sort of... If your spirit form were a bee, would you be mystically compelled to make honey? Were it a bird, would you spend all day making nests? Tamarin opens his eyes once more and looks Herivas up and down before wincing and shutting his eyes once more. I am saying this is what the animal your form resembles is known to do. It seems you are eager to leap to your own conclusions. I would not normally advise one to speak with the Circle at Blood Sands, but given your circumstances, the Ethek Null may prove insightful. He turns and, with his eyes still closed, points to the northwest. Read the stone slabs carved by the druids of the Blood Sands. There are answers to be found, as well as more questions, but you must explore them for yourself. What exactly is written on these stones? Much of it is utter rubbish on the incessant need for sacrifice. His calm countenance wavers as he says the last word with a spit and a hiss. But amongst the dogma are a few bits of wisdom on Galawain. Your friend will understand. Is there any more you could tell us? Only to trust in Galawain and trust in Whale. Both have blessed you in their own difficult ways. I appreciate the attempt to lift my spirits, Herivas grumbles, but that doesn't really help. Herivas sighs and digs into his ear stump with his index finger. But he has a point. I shall trust Whale has something to show me in the Blood Sands. An elf with placid green eyes nods in greeting. Welcome to the Golden Grove, traveler.
Hail, Estramor.
Do you seek the wisdom of our herbalists, or simply to bask in Wertha's glory? Who leads your order? Hyovate Erona leads us. She sometimes journeys to Elmshore to renew her strength, however. She's there now with some of her closest followers, in fact. Erona is a mighty elm among us. She's lived for generations. There are none who understand the world as well as she, and we are fortunate to have her wisdom to answer our questions. I'd like to know more about Erona. Her eyes brighten. Why, you must meet her for yourself. She is wise and kind, and she has led our order from the beginning. Yet she walks among us and gives freely of herself. She turns her gaze to the great twisting elms. That is what so many of us cherish about her. She is present among us in a way that the gods never are. Tell me about the Golden Grove. We are the Ovates, druids, philosophers, and students of nature. We gather here to share our knowledge and celebration. She gestures to another elven woman standing near the entrance to the grove. Many travelers come to us for poultices and remedies. Bleda understands the cures and poisons of nature like no other. What do you believe? We believe that knowledge is found in the earnest exploration of the natural world. She tilts her head. We do not, as some have said, oppose the gods. We simply believe that we have found a brighter, more peaceful path than devotion. Let's go. Kill a child or poison an old guy that's lived 250 years. And possibly weaken a tribe.
Hail, Estramor.
The elf holds a chipped wooden pipe. The sweet smoke wafting from the bowl makes you dizzy. Welcome, Estramor. I've got herbs and potions for sale. Looking for something to ease your travels? Or something to make them more interesting? When she grins, you see her teeth and gums are stained brown. Herivas sniffs at the air. His smile growing wider with each twitch of his nose. Whiteleaf, he says with a smile. I once ate a porcupine whole while smashed on Whiteleaf. I miss those days. I'd like to see your stocks. New pet. Don't want to get rid of my tabby cat. I hear that you make certain poisons. She takes a deep draw on her pipe. Poisons? I only deal in tonics that heal and enlighten. She exhales a puff of smoke. Of course, many beneficial substances can be harmful when taken in great quantities, but that's just Werther's way of keeping all things in balance. Really? What kind of substances? She leans against the winding tree trunk and ticks the items off on her fingers. Oh, there's plenty. Concentrated carogolan, undistilled spider venom, rotten blood moss extract, cave coral mixed with skein bone. I need a mixture of cave coral and skein bone. She stops counting and scratches her head. What would you want with something like that? Well, my friend Stalgar is dying and wants to ease the creature's passing. She frowns, her teeth clamped around the pipe. Poor thing. Here, take this. She gives you a vial filled with the dark fluid. It works slowly, but this will send him back to the cycle kindly enough. Just see that it doesn't get misplaced. Half that dose would kill an Amoa. She taps ash from her pipe into the grass. Was there anything else I could do for you? Goodbye. Alright, let's save our game. In case we get caught poisoning the evil dude that wants to kill a kid. All because he feels threatened. Well, not really. He just doesn't want to become... He admits she's a good leader, but he doesn't want to risk it. Give Simok the poison. Here's the potion you asked for. He looks from the vial in your hand back to you. Something's wrong. His eyes narrow. What are you trying to give me? This is distilled essence, really. He rushes at you with a cry of rage. Oh shit. I didn't really have many options to trick him. Lars has asked me to kill you. The old Aphromoth laughs. I almost wish you spoke true. Lars doesn't have the ferocity to plot something like that. His expression grows sober. If he did, I would not lack a proper hair right now. Give Simok the poison. Here's the potion you asked for. It's poison. So I really don't have any options, do I? Is it the poison?
Right.
Well, I only have so many options. Okay, so if I found a way of boosting my intellect or resolve, I might be able to do it. Let's see. Intellect, resolve. So let's try see if we have anything that adds 2 to resolve.
What?
Yeah.
I need to see if I have the ability to craft a potion, I guess. +2 intellect. I guess I just can't do that for now. Until I figure out a way of... Maybe a rest bonus will allow me to do it. Wonder if there's a way I could choose a different poison or something. May just have to ignore the quest for now. Two identical women seem to fade into view as they move away from the great trees that camouflage them. Their skin is tree bark, rigid and scaly, wreathed in a curling tangle of roots, buds, and blooms. Their hair hangs beneath the shade of serrated leaves like the drooping branches of the elms above, and the pupils of their eyes are encircled by hundreds or even thousands of concentric rings, as if to mark the accumulated wisdom of millennia.
Turn around, flesh creature. Outsiders are not permitted to approach the elms.
Do you not feel it, sister? Something familiar. An ancient soul, like the other one. Another defiler, no doubt. Let us fell him and be troubled no more. It would pay the debt of his predecessor.
So it would seem, Rhiannon. But we must not hasten to judgment. I see a different motive here. Different questions in these eyes.
What of it, young trespasser? Is it as my sister says? Or are you here to stain this place with foul deeds?
I seek a man who came through here. It sounds as though you've already met him.
There! By his own admission, Sheetha.
Really, sister? And you wonder why your leaves begin to fall out before midsummer? Clearly that man did not want to be followed. Whatever the relationship here, I suspect it is anything but cordial. The answer is yes, old one. We crossed paths with Theos not long ago, and we can tell you where he went. But I find it curious that anyone would seek him out. Suspicious, even. If we are to help you find him, we would know why.
We seem to be linked, and I need to know why.
Ah, so you do. I should have seen it when you first approached.
We are slipping in our advanced age, sister.
I see it now. You are awakened. Your soul is awake, and something once buried deep now wells to the surface. Past overwhelms present, closes in around you. Your time has nearly reached its end.
I just need to get to Theos.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but Theos cannot give you what you seek. Nor can any man. An awakening cannot be undone, any more than your past can be undone.
What's she mean? I thought Merwald said... What kind of glances at you? But that can't be right, not after everything. There must be someone else we can ask. Sagani's gaze flickers to you. I'm sorry. We did not come down this road together to be refused passage by a pair of talking saplings. So this has all been for nothing, and I'm going to lose my mind.
The soul is formless without a past to shape it. Did you truly expect to be able to wipe it away?
I'd rather have tried to put things right. A noble thought, but for the lifetimes that separate you from your problems.
However, as much as my sister speaks truly that there is no way back from an awakening, there may yet be a way forward. Would you agree, Sheetha?
I would. Were the way not so likely to end in death.
Death may be preferable to what lies in store for me.
It may, but not all deaths are alike, and the man you pursue is versed in thousands of them.
The man Theos you must already know by now. You are linked by a common past. Something about it lingers within you, festering, unresolved. What it is I cannot see any more than you. And without that knowledge, your doom is certain. But were you to learn the source of this discord, perhaps it could be put to rest. Though it is equally possible it will trouble you as much now as it did then, and merely speed your condition to its end.
My past comes to me in pieces. How do I unlock the rest?
You might wait for it to come on its own, of course. But when it comes, it will replace your sanity's last breath. Such is the nature of your condition.
Or you could learn it from someone who already knows.
Theos, would he remember?
It is said the gods made his memory perfect, that he may never forget his charge. If he ever knew, he still does.
Not that he would tell you, of course.
You have followed the right person for the wrong reason, it seems. We see it often beneath the elms. The soul dragging mind and body to unknown places for unfathomable reasons. You may have wandered into Theos' path many times, in many lifetimes, without an awakening to show you why.
The only thing that's certain is you did not find what you sought.
You said you know where he went.
He has gone down beneath the tower to a place older than we, where the people of Engwith once walked. He makes his way to the buried city, Sun and Shadow.
May he stay down there and rot with the remains of his people.
He may yet. He won't be returning the way he came, that much is certain. He opened a secret path in the tower's base, and saw it destroyed behind him through some vile means.
Is there another way to get to him?
We know of one. On the burial isle, through the court of the penitents, Braeth Yaman, A shortcut, in fact.
Don't be cruel, sister. The way my sister speaks of is not for the faint of heart. A great pit at the center of a forgotten court, where faiths were judged in place of crimes. To most, it is simply a gateway to death. With the help of the gods, it can take you where you want to go.
What do you mean, with the help of the gods?
The pit is said to have been a means of judgment by the gods. Those cast into it are meant to die. It is that way you must pass to reach Sun and Shadow. The court is old. We do not know much for certain, but it would seem only the gods themselves can grant passage.
What is this court?
No more than a ruin now. It is older than we, a place for the trial of heretics. We were not here to witness it, but at one time there was a group that refused to acknowledge the gods. Neither the first nor the last, of course, but these were numerous and all put on trial for it. Those who did not repent were cast into the pit and imprisoned below.
Just 1 second, sorry. Sorry about that.
The fall killed them, of course. The prison was not for people, but for their souls, and their sentences were eternal.
It is said that many of the
It
condemned
is said
repented.
that many of the
Oh.
condemned repented and were permitted by the gods to ascend from the pit, so long as they pledged their service to one of them. But these are old legends.
How would I ever get the gods to help me?
Behind us is Ter Evron, said to pierce the shroud itself and a place of communion with all gods. If ever there was a time for prayer, you have found it.
So the only way to get through this pit is to pray for help.
Not the only way. Just the only one that doesn't end with your body impaled on jagged rocks.
Is there no other way?
None.
How do I
Ter
pray?
Evron is also called the Hall of Stars, and the stars show us the allegiances of the gods. When stars are in conjunction, we know the gods they represent are aligned as well. You should choose a place to pray where you'll be closest to those you want to hear you. If a god stands alone, you should pray to that god. If they band together, you should address them all. Choose your words wisely, for all gods expect proper homage, and none has patience for fools.
Who would I pray to? Any god you can, I should think.
I would pray first to those gods you like best. I hope for your sake, the feeling is shared.
I have other questions.
What do you wish to know?
How did you know I was pursuing Theos?
The same way that you are no doubt able to peer into the ether and experience the souls of others. It is something we are born with, some more, some less. A gift common to many creatures of the wilds. You share certain similarities with the man you pursue. For your sake, I pray they are few and of no consequence.
You mentioned these people come to these you mentioned that people come to these elms without knowing why. A soul has a will all its own. Its needs and whims are seldom understood, but they follow them all the
There
same.
is something about this place that reaches beyond our understanding, something like a beacon. The elms have a way of uniting souls that have been seeking one another, with or without their owner's awareness. Sometimes it is for love, Sometimes for vengeance, sometimes for peace. Often it is for no reason we will ever know. In your case, let us hope it is for peace.
Or vengeance.
I want to know about the two of you.
There is little to be said about us, for we are bound here, caretakers and defenders of this place. Our journey has been over time, but not distance, measured in observations, but not experiences. We have seen the elms grow tall. We have seen cities built, burned, and built again. The only constant has been the tower, a silent companion through the ages. You can imagine why this recent destruction has stirred my sister so.
If you do nothing else, make that man pay for what he did here.
I need to know about praying for the support of the gods.
We will tell you what we can. Before you go, tell me this, old one. I'm curious. If you were to subdue your enemy, what would you do with him? What would give you peace?
I wish to undo the harm he's caused.
You would need to have twice as many lifetimes as he to repair his savage work.
But perhaps there are strides you can make.
All the same, think on this matter. Be assured in your course. In the end, it may mean all the difference, not just to his soul, but to yours. And be warned. Some questions have answers that can never be learned. And it is those that trouble the soul above all others. May you find an answer to yours.
Quest completed. The assassin at large. Okay, so I have to pray to the gods of Terrovnen. Travel to the burial isle. New quest. Nidhen was a Glanfathan murderer who was notorious for both his brutality and his ability to avoid capture by the tribe's best hunters. When he was finally captured and put to death, his body was buried in a secret place near Cleaban Relag. Ario had given the unusual recommendation in the hopes that the Engwithian ruin would capture the killer's soul and prevent it from return to the wheel. During a recent cleansing celebration, an Orlan child stumbled across Nidhen's grave. Not realizing what she had found, she told her parents, who guessed what it was and in turn told other members of their tribe. Within a day, Nidhen's burial site had been plundered by a few foolhardy Glanfathans, the body carried away for ritual purposes. All that remained was the ring finger from his right hand. The Anamfatha opposed the use of Nidhen's body for preparing sacred objects and will reward anyone who can return it to them. Let's do Aloth.
What do you wish to know? Until we meet again. What do you wish to know? Until we meet again.
Okay, so that is Ter Evron, where I have to pray. But let's finish exploring. And that is to Blood Sands. Well, let's go to Blood Sands first, I guess. fog of
craving
war, so maybe this
sound.
counts as a dungeon or something.
Ourselves.
A dwarven man stands motionless near the roaring fire that lights the cavern. Your sacrifice feeds the land, supplicants come forth. A gust of smoke curls around him, licking the charred flesh that bulges on his forearms. Then they suddenly flex. Esther Moore, the dwarf holds his fists in a tight grip. Your kin doesn't come here to share with the tribes. What do you want? What's this place? Blood Sands. The dwarf picks on his scarred forearm. His guttural sigh mingles with the crackling of wood and bones behind him. As I said, Estermorn rarely visit our halls. The Glonfathans call this place Blood Sands. We call it home. The Ethnic Null have tended the land from within this cave since before the arrival of the tribes to Twin Elms. Garrost crosses his arms. Be warned, Estermore, we bleed life to nurture it. Our sacrifices may strike you as savage, but the health of these lands depends on them, and it's unseemly for guests to insult their hosts. Tell me about the Ethnic Null. Our order has thrived for generations. Before we came to Twin Elms, our rights fed the lands of the Eastern Mountains. Now we share blood for Erer Glonvath. Garrost opens his palms. Strikes of red skin run through them like flames. To everything that must end, our sacrifices bring a new beginning. He looks up. We sustain what's to come. Tell me about the sacrifices. Garrost spreads his stocky legs apart and locks his forearms. Everything must die to return anew, Estermore. Through the sacrificial rites, we offer supplicants the honor of giving their most precious gift back to their brethren, back to the land. The dwarf lifts his fist, thick and molted by red scars. The blood gives us strength. Even the Glonfathans have come to depend on the blood paint. They brim with power before battle, all thanks to the sacrifices of their kin. Goodbye. Remember, Estermore, you're a guest in these halls. Respect our ways and we'll tolerate your presence among us. Essence is taken by...
Upon Burial Isle, the two men meet again for the first time, though it was the last thing they did. The many-colored beast rent them both asunder. They were in death, merged, and made whole again. Cute story. Two guys meet in the belly of a soul-eating creature. Maybe someday I'll eat two of the most insipid deer wooden lumberjacks, and they'll spend an eternity discussing beer whilst haunting my colon.
Perhaps the idea is that the Autumn Stalgar might not really destroy the souls. That could be true, Hervé mutters, but I guess I don't know what to make of this. I've never knowingly, at least, eaten anyone's soul. Maybe it's a trick I've yet to learn. Lucky me. Still, I have a hard time believing that me spirit shifting and mauling anyone is going to make anybody whole again, despite what this tablet says. I'd like to look at the other tablets and see what they have to say.
Upon Burial Isle.
I just want to finish... I just wanted to read what it said. Okay. Smoke curls up from these charred skeletons. The smell is nauseating.
I'll take a look. Builder's wisdom to you.
The elderly dwarf blinks at you, not quite looking at you. Her eyes are pale and clouded with cataracts. Welcome to Blood Sands. It is rare that an Estromor sets foot in these caverns. Her sightless eyes fix on you as she tilts her head. What brings you here, I wonder? What do you do here? I sell and maintain certain goods for the preservation of our order, and I perform some of our ritual sacrifices. Something more? How do these sacrifices work? Like any worthwhile ritual, it's too complex to explain in detail. It involves clouding the supplicant's essence, binding it to their life's blood, and drawing it into a container or vessel. Tell me about the Blood Sands. This, the raw, bloody heart of Aragornfath, where some come to give their essence back to their people. Her dry lips bend into a sardonic grin, where others seek a noble escape from their trials. The legacy of the builders to the tribes was not merely adder and stone, but a sense of community, and it is here that Godfathers come to sacrifice what is most precious, even their own lives, to preserve it. I'd like to see what you have for sale. Okay, not much. Bravest sons
Is not the water sacrificed unto the plant, and the plant sacrificed unto livestock, and livestock unto man? When the lesser soul is sacrificed to strengthen the greater soul, the whole of our family grows stronger. I suppose I get the argument. We all have to kill and eat, constantly for that matter, to live. This sounds like it's talking about the Blood Sands rituals. I wonder how, or even if, this is relevant to me.
Have you considered that the Autumn Stalgar may have been sacrificed to you? That Galawain was making you stronger? It hadn't occurred to me, but I did win the fight. If Galawain were truly displeased with me, I can't imagine I'd have walked away from that trial alive. I don't know, it just sounds like they're trying to justify their practices of killing people. Come on, let's see what the other tablets have to say.
Huh?
I'll stay out of sight.
I'll take a look.
Let's take a look at what that says. Only usable by monk, and I do not have a monk. So in the stash it goes. Flask of war paint. Pretty good melee potion. Let's give that to him.
Following your lead.
Yeah.
Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves.
+3 move speed. And boots. Does anybody not have boots at this point? Looks like everybody has boots.
Huh?
As your blood flows, so shall your essence. Your life's energy shall feed the soil, and your soul's energy shall enrich the community. This is by your own choosing, supplicant?
Yes. The elf's voice is high but even. The dwarf grips a hatchet with both hands and raises it over his head. He throws his shoulders forward and swings the weapon into the elf's chest, connecting with a meaty thump. Blood gushes around the blade, and the sacrifice's screams rend the air. Aurochs, shadows, she looks over her shoulder at Kana. I hope you weren't watching. Despite his earlier agreement, the elf thrashes atop the stone table, his torso arching while his arms and legs remain tied in place. Meanwhile, the dwarf spreads his arms wide and allows blood to spatter his robes. When the elf is finally silent and still, the dwarf pulls his hatchet from the body and wipes it on his hem. Kind of makes a disgusted noise and turns away. I think I preferred these rites when they were only words upon a page. Why did I look? It's not as if I didn't expect it. Streaks of red-brown blood and globs of tissue have worked themselves into the minute grooves of the stone.
On the hunt.
The dwarf wears crimson robes that are stained and streaked with dark patches. His face is smooth but lacking youthful elasticity. It's as if the lines and wrinkles have been formed and erased many times over. I just realized I forgot to turn the light on. Dang it. 1 second. Be right back. Turning the light on. Totally forgot about the damn light. It's dark in here even during the day. And I just totally forgot about the light. I'm usually pretty good about making sure I turn that on before I start streaming. Alright. Alright. Well, now you can see me. Alright. He watches you with eyes like two black pits as he wipes his hatchet on his robes. Hail, Estermore.
No one comes to Blood Sands without a purpose. What is yours?
Tell me more about the Ethnic Noah. We are a druidic order that has been in Twin Elm since Ingwithian times. Our founders came from White March seeking a place where we might practice our beliefs in peace, as it were. Unlike most of our Glonfathan brethren, we seek answers in the world around us rather than the teaching of the gods. We believe that all life has power and that this power can be siphoned and conducted. We are not, as some suggest, madmen and murderers. All of our rituals are conducted with willing participants and through methods that have been tested and refined over centuries. He nods, his black eyes shining. This allows us to create the war point for which we are respected, if not loved. Want to know more about your sacrifices? A guttural laugh rumbles from his throat. We merely believe that in giving up something of value, the energy from that sacrifice can be diverted elsewhere. It is not so different from what folk practice all over the world. If you want to turn the soil, sail a ship, or move a cart, you must expend energy. He smooths his robes. But we're best known for our practice of kith sacrifice. This is the most potent form of sacrifice because it releases the most energy. We distill the essence of an entire soul into raw power that can strengthen the body, fortify the soul, and extend life. More than a little different from sailing a ship, Kana squirms. An interesting perspective even so. The Gonfathans are never half-hearted in their superstitions, are they? What's war paint? A special unguent binding raw essence to the wearer. It grants incredible advantages in combat and has made us indispensable to the tribes. Whatever they say about our practices, almost all of them have made use of our war paint at some time or another. A slow smile spreads across his face. Fascinating indeed how the most strident objections can be overcome by circumstance. I'd like to buy war paint. I'm no merchant. I'm talk to Keeper Werda. She's around here somewhere. How are you different from the Ovates at the Golden Grove? A dry laugh rasps from his throat. Golden Grove? I remember when Arona came up with that name. He gives you a darkly gleeful look. Used to be as green as the rest of the forest, you know. We're more similar than they'd like to admit. We both believe in achieving power without the double-edged aid of the gods. But their fantasy is pure creation. Something from nothing. They blind themselves to the fact that all life, from the mightiest dragon to the slimmest blade of grass, requires death. And the greatest ends require the greatest sacrifice. Let's go with the Stoic option. That's just the way the world works. Yes, we are simply observers. Declaring the morality of the natural world is as pointless as naming the winds. That's all I wanted to know. Who are you?
I am the Archdruid of the Ethnic Null. For centuries it has been my duty to guide our rituals and guard our knowledge. It is work that requires a certain resilience, but it is not without its benefits.
Farewell. Okay, so... the heat emanating from this pool threatens to singe the flesh of your face.
Quiet.
Keeping an eye out.
I should get a chance to pick this lock.
I'll give it a try, at least. As requested.
Oh, just barely got it off.
I'll take a look.
Hey,
Huh?
The blood of sacrifice
As
waters the
souls
soil of
split into
Ergonfoth.
multitudes, many lives come from one. The truest of power comes from sacrificing the shard to return its strength to the Mother Stone. The many lives from one sounds familiar. I was taught that sometimes between death and rebirth, a soul splits perfectly in two, creating two viable souls from one. Sounds strange, but it makes sense when you think about how the population has risen in generations. It's kind of a mathematical necessity that some process like this is happening.
Maybe the Autumn Stelgar has a very important role to play in this life cycle of souls. Sorry, sir, I'm not eating your soul. I'm merely serving a vital role in the natural process. Hervest rolls his eye. I see what you're getting at, but it's not making me feel better. Fungus that grows on shit has an important role in the natural order. That wouldn't make me thrilled to spirit shift into a shit blossom. I just can't shake the fear that I'm the shard and my destiny is to be fed to something greater. Hervest stares at you wide-eyed and silent for several moments. Guess worrying won't do me any good. Let's read those other tablets.
Huh?
Petitioner before you is swaddled in loose-fitting robes. Her hair is greasy and matted. A glossy film of sweat and grime coats her exposed skin. She has the swollen features of pregnancy and several missing teeth in her big grinning smile. As you approach, she slowly turns to you and examines you from head to toe, smiling the entire time. Joyous day to you, she says. Despite coming from a wearied body, her voice sounds resonant and relaxed. I am Naka, midwife and lore-keeper. Her hands run across the slight bulge in her belly. She rolls her head back and sighs a relaxed purr. Are you feeling well? Flawless, she replies. Apologies, I should be left to my meditation. The rider's strength is invigorating, almost overwhelming to the senses. She reaches down and cradles her belly in her hands and turns away. Thought I looked at all of them. Did I miss an area? No, I did not. So why is it still acting like... let me look at the quest. I guess let's run through again. Maybe I missed one.
Is not the water sacrificed unto the... We already read this inscription. Each generation. Well, I guess maybe my tribe wasn't entirely wrong about my spirit form being some sort of soul terror. I suppose I was hoping to hear a different answer on the matter, but...
Did it ever occur to you that Galawain was testing you, and you passed? That's... Herveth's intact ear stands up and a smile across. That's a very good point. Why didn't I think of that? He runs his hands along the scars near his eye. His posture becomes alive with nervous thought. Maybe I've been thinking about this all wrong. I mean, I survived an encounter with the Autumn Stalgar. Plenty of Anamfa that can't say the same. He lets out a long sigh and relaxes. For years I've been telling myself my tribe judged me unfairly. Guess they weren't completely wrong. So that other tablet mentioned Burial Isle, and another spoke of souls splitting over time and sacrifice being some counter to this. Is it safe to say old Whale brought you to where you needed to be? You can most certainly say that, Herveth says with a smile. So my tribe was right. The Autumn Stalgar is some sort of soul-destroying beast, but I merely borrowed the creature form, not its reason for being. I doubt I'll change their minds about anything, and it's not like I want to develop a new group of druidic peers among these artisans of sacrifice. So what now? Adding it up, I want to head to the Burial Isle. The name was mentioned in the tablets, and it's implied there might be other Autumn Stalgars there. I know now that that Galawain sent his emissary to maul me for a good reason. It wasn't strictly malice, and I'm sort of hoping to find out that the soul-eating talk was just rumors. Alas. He smiles a nervous grin and shrugs. Maybe I'll meet the prey Galawain wants me to hunt, or I'll find out I'm the quarry. Do you think you have some destiny to consume someone's soul? It's a notion that has always troubled me. Maybe eating souls is like fucking. I just meet the right person, instinct will take over, and I'll feel ashamed yet smug the following morning. Okay, let's go to Tale of Ren.
Quiet.
Let's go around the perimeter first. Shattered and charred stone blocks the passage into sun and shadow. Luminescent address shard.
stars in the sky before, but I've never seen them beneath my feet.
Let's see. Let's go talk to Galawain. Or, actually, let's see what this says. Nothing happens when you approach Wodeka's shrine. Let's go over here and talk to this one. Before the shrine sits the constellation of a snarling hound, Fangsbeard. Pray to Galawain. You kneel before the shrine and prepares to recite the ritual words. When Wodeka takes back her throne, all wrongs shall be righted. Your words seem to fade once voiced, as if they were cast into a vast emptiness. The hall grows deathly still and silent, and then the ground starts to tremble beneath your feet. Oh.
Let's go. Don't even. I have.
Huh?
As you kneel in front of the shrine, you feel yourself pushed forward. You catch yourself on your hands and knees, feeling warm, damp ground beneath them. Looking around, you find yourself crouched in a clearing in the middle of the woods. The smell of dirt hangs heavy in the air. Behind you is a darkened room filled with candlelit shrines. Ahead, you hear the howl of some kind of hound. You feel certain this is a vision, but the hairs on the nape of your neck still rise.
Oh, the scent of sweat, fur, loam, leaves, the discordant howls. I believe Galawain's herald approaches.
Howl back. The beast bays in response, its voice high and clear. The thick undergrowth shivers with movement, and heavy paws pound the wet grass. You're not certain if the creature is hunting or leading you, but you instinctively give chase. As you tumble through dew-speckled bushes and clawing brambles, each stride feels longer than the last. You draw lungfuls of crisp, clear air and feel your energy renewed. The rhythm of your stride and the thumping of the beast's paws drive the blood thrumming into your ears. You speed ahead, following the hound's cries, when a split-finger pine crashes to the ground in front of you. A massive bear lunges into the gap and roars. It catches sight of you. You turn and race in the opposite direction, leaping over the fallen tree trunk. Pine cones crunch underfoot. The bear lumbers after you. Its hot breath washes over the back of your neck, filling your nose with the rank odor of slaughter. You see a clearing just past a thicket of broadleaves and sprint towards it. As you break through the foliage, you see a massive lioness curled up in the clearing in front of you. With a last burst of energy, you divert your momentum and hurl yourself into the bushes. Any second now, you expect to feel the bear fall upon you, but a furious roar on the other side of the clearing draws your attention. The bear has stopped at the tree line. It swipes the empty air with claws large enough to rend armor, but it does not advance. The lioness, for her part, twists her body into a tight coil. She growls, her ears pressed against her head, but she makes no move to attack the intruder. Whose idea was it to stand here? You back deeper into the foliage, keeping your eyes on the two mighty predators. As you crawl backwards, the heel of your hand brushes something furred. A warm sigh grazes your cheek. You freeze in place, slowly turn your head to see what waits behind you. Two amber eyes shine in the darkness.
Holy Hound himself! It's not just his herald! It's the Lord of the Hunt! Here!
The Orlan drops to one knee as his hands dart about his pockets and snatch the rusted hound's head icon buried within. The eyes meet your gaze briefly, then turn to the standoff in the clearing. The hound behind you yawns, fangs flashing. When you turn back, the lion and the bear have disappeared. In their place is a stone wolf's maw, gaping wide enough to swallow you whole. Beyond it is the outline of a temple, towering but indistinct. Blood must feed the maw, watcher. See that a true champion reigns. Turn back to Terra Evron.
What do you wish to know? Until we meet again.
Okay, so temple maw must be old song. Okay. Let's see. Hylia's Shrine, Old Songs Past, Noon Frost, Burial Isle, Hearthsong District, Galloway's Maw, Hearthsong District. Mind your paths, Estramore. The guided compass trusts easily, but I don't. How does one get to the Burial Isle? The guard frowns, studying you a moment. It is not customary for Estramorn to seek it. They have little understanding of its significance. But for those who would pay respect, Dorval will ferry them across. He embarks out of the docks in the old song. Are you familiar with a place shaped like a wolf's head made of stone? All Glanfalans know the Maw. It's a place in Old Song that's holy to Gallowayne, and it's where the Fangs gather, though I hear that there's some uproar over the beasts that dwell there. Walk away.
to a fault without a mind of their own, and a crack of your staff sends them whimpering. What better symbol for Gallowayne could there be?
A dank, sultry draft issues from the cave within the beast's head. Condensation drips from the stone teeth. The vicious liquid gives off a sharp metallic odor.
On the hunt.
Arensi has no right to defend that cowering cat in the
Kenneth.
Barren Law.
This is no place for sightseeing, even for you.
Oh, why are...
Beasts of Gallowayne's Maw are dangerous, and now more than ever.
What's wrong with the beasts?
They won't fight.
What's wrong with that?
It is not Gallowayne's way, and it is not the way of the Maw.
The Maw has always been home to one great predator. Every so often a challenger comes along and the two battle for territory. But Sol remains in her den, and Oranos can't confront her there. Now two mighty predators and their kin hunt from the same stock. It's thinning the herds, and it's thinning patience around here too. He resumes his pacing. And this waiting, it's not the deliberate watchful waiting of a hunter lying in ambush. It's stagnation, tedium, hoping for something to happen. He clenches his hand into fist, but I'm powerless to act. One half of the fangs will cry favoritism if I try to drag the lioness out myself. I received a vision from Gallowayne about these beasts. His tired eyes go wide. From the clever hound himself, he looks you up and down. If you truly have Gallowayne's blessing, I won't stand in your way, and if you don't, then I suspect the beasts will make short work of you. He gives you a heavy iron key. We don't normally permit outsiders to venture into the Maw, but you understand that you do so at your own risk, and Sol's lions are likely to attack intruders on sight. Still, perhaps you can coax her into fighting the bear. Do whatever you can to end this stalemate. Let's talk about something else. Such as, I want to know about the two predators. There's never been a more cunning hunter than Sol, but some say she's losing her edge. Oranos, on the other hand, is all edge, and many of our number thinks he's the rightful successor. His fingers drum a restless rhythm on his thigh. Blood simmering. It's going to boil over if a little doesn't spill soon. Something else? I prefer action to talk, but I'll answer your questions as best I can. Would you favor Sol or Oranos? I see both sides. Sol's cunning is unmatched, but Oranos is the mightier of the two. Both embody traits prized by Gallowayne. This is Gallowayne's Maw?
Yes, a den of beasts sacred to the Lord of the Hunt himself. Historically, the greatest predator of Aer Glanfath has claimed the back of the Maw as its lair. Lately, however, there's been some dispute as to who should occupy that position.
Tell me about yourself. Oh, he wasn't finished yet. I apologize. I'm the leader of the Fangs. We're an order of hunters and warriors devoted to Gallowayne, and we see that the places of the Builders remains pure. Not truly a tribe, but we do gather and argue like one. Our members come from all the tribes, but most of us were born three-tusked Stalgar, Fisher Crane, and Keepers of the Stone, naturally. Where can I find Sol? Straight at the back of the Maw. He points down the halls on either side of him. You can get through either way, but mind where your feet step. The Maw's a dangerous place, and Sol's pride and her advocates are on the alert. Where is Aranos? Good question. Bear's out hunting right now, but he'll return soon. He's never gone for long. Goodbye.
Then track her down and tell her yourself.
Come to see the great Oernos, Estremor? He's out for a hunt, but he'll be back. Unlike that lioness, he doesn't stay cooped up in here for long.
Why can't Aranos go and fight the lioness?
Because she holes up at the back of the Maw, surrounded by her pride and the natural hazards of this place. It's not the proper way to meet a challenger. She's got to come out and face Oernos to keep her claim. Anyway, her prime is past. Putting that old beast down would be a mercy at this point.
I could take care of Soul. I hate to spoil the tradition of a big showdown, but if she retreats from her fight, then there's no point in waiting. Kill her, and that'll be proof enough that she's not a fit champion. What are you doing here?
We wait for the big confrontation, but the wait grows exhausting. While Sul hides in the back of the maw, Oernos is denied his victory, and we're all denied the champion we deserve.
Goodbye. The stones at the end of the chasm are slick and beaded with moisture. The coarse sand offers modest cushioning. It shifts in size under something.
What brings you here?
An Orlan woman stands ankle deep in the sand, sharpening a spearhead. You must be Bethel's new Estermore. Truth, when I heard she'd let another in, I almost went to the Passage of the Six myself to share words. She points the flint spearhead at you. Have other foreigners come this way recently? Glomfullen, worshippers of Rimgard, they claim. Simply looters and defilers by another name. That's the truth. The spearhead flashes as she shakes it at the door. They disappeared behind the doors of Noonfrost, and now our lake turns to ice and the cold creeps ever closer. She digs a trench in the sand with one bare foot, yet Bithwill's timid, and she is convinced the other Anamfatha that we must respect these Estromorn and their traditions, no matter what mischief guides their hands. She raises her head slowly, looking back at the entrance. Bithwell's looking out for Twin Elms in her own way. Soft words accomplish little, yet they fill the mouths of Estromorn. I sent my own sister, one of my finest scouts, to sniff out the Pale Elves' corruption. I was certain that Anamfatha could not ignore the defilement in Noonfrost once Alwa's own eyes had seen it, but she still hasn't returned. She looks away. Now I bear the responsibility for her fate, and I can't send the Fangs after her without openly defying the Anamfatha. I could look for Alwa. She gives you a guarded look. I don't dare to hope. Whatever catastrophe has befallen Noonfrost does not feel like the work of Kith, but nothing would bring me greater joy than seeing her again. She glances at the sand and frowns. I would take any assistance you can give. What are you doing here? My stocks equip my brethren in the Fangs, and my hands train them to fight, hunt, and track with skill. Tell me about the Maw. An ancient place of beasts and dangers. As followers of the clever hound, we assemble and train here as hunters, warriors, and defenders of the Builder's sacred places. Chaos pervades the Maw, and more than ever due to the stalemate between the beasts. She shakes her head, but Deathwing refuses to intervene, and many itch to settle the matter over blood. Do you have any supplies for sale? Only the finest. Bone pins pierce the hide map at a handful of locations along the Glanfathan side of the Bale River. Okay, what is that across the bridge? Let's save first in case I'm not supposed to go over there. The remains of a broken bridge, long collapsed, lead to a deep chasm. The other side of the bridge pierces through the mist at the far end of the chasm, hanging precariously over the steep fall. Examine the area. The broken stones of the bridge, weathered after centuries of disrepair, are scattered along the edge and side of the chasm. A thin mist rises from below. The stones are coated with slick green moss, making them impossible to grip safely. The wooden beams lodged between the stones on either side of the bridge seem sturdy enough to support your weight, however. Toss your rope and grappling hook across the chasm. You aim for the wooden beam on the opposite side of the bridge and hurl your grappling hook across the chasm. It strikes the bridge with a solid thunk. The hook snags firmly, digging into the wood as you pull. The rope tightens, taut and secure. You tie the free end of the rope to the wooden beam next to you. Your rope stretches across the gap, across the chasm. The rope tenses and vibrates as you move forward, gripping the line, reverberating through the underground cave. The creaks of the wooden beams mark your every effort. You keep your progress slow and steady. Reach the other side without incident. The knots on the other side of the bridge remain secure, and the wooden beams appear undamaged by the strain of your passage.
Quiet.
I think I see something. Let's go.
On the hunt.
Where's these stairs lead to? Probably outside, I guess. I probably shouldn't have taken those.
We can't stay down here. Someone must go to the nest eventually.
Here, kitty. Come on, I want to pet you.
Two wood elves, a man and a woman, wear colorful robes embroidered with a matching emblem, a winged egg. Apart from their clothing, they couldn't be more different. She folds her arms and continuously scowls at the broken walls around them. He, on the other hand, mutters prayers, his shade Dappled face as tranquil as the cloudless sky.
Just how are we supposed to worship the Sky Mother from among the weeds, hmm? This is a disgrace.
Calm yourself. We should be grateful that she protected us from the Winged Terror. Besides, even here we have a visitor.
What's this winged terror you speak
A
of?
dragon. One that has taken up residence in the Nest, the true temple of Helia, and slain many of her faithful. And one which Anuin has been in favor of killing from the beginning.
But no, you advised caution. Now word spread that the dragon ate a few of our followers, and anyone willing to slay it wants an Anumfoth's ransom for the job.
I told you a larger party wouldn't stand a chance. By the time the first half reached the top of the mountain, the second half would still be stuck in the pass. They'd be burned alive. Contrary to Anuin's suggestion, I am in favor of sending someone to kill the dragon. But I suggest a smaller party, and one willing to seek Helia's blessing.
I could go after this dragon.
You could.
What she means is that this is no mere drake, but a fully grown dragon, and one that has willingly moved into a populated area. You'll want every advantage at your disposal, including the blessing of the Sky Mother herself. I would suggest that you petition her directly at Ter Evron, if you haven't already.
She points to a path on her right leading north and up a slope. You'd want to follow this path here. You'll pass through the North Weald, but the way up the mountain continues from there. It's near one of those big circles laid by the builders. Let me ask you about something else. Language is also sacred to our goddess. Something else you wish to speak of? This is the Temple of Hylia?
You hear this, Wag?
Relax, Anuin. I'm sure he meant nothing by it. Forgive my consort. She's been rather excitable of late. This is not, as you seem to recognize, our actual temple. It's merely a shrine we've set up after the business with the dragon.
I'd like to know more about Hylia.
Why, she's the goddess of song, art, the sky, and maternity. She's gentle and brilliant, speaking to her followers in dreams, inspiration, and birdsong. It is said that she wears a cloak adorned with a feather from every bird known to kith or wilder, and that she manifests in the flocks themselves.
Aye, and in the screams of childbearing, which I can assure you is not so beauteous a thing.
This is true, which is why midwives are widely considered clergy of Helia, as are many artists and poets. In any case, those of us who follow her feel closest to her splendor in a place where we might share light, song, and a view of the blessed sky.
I have questions about the dragon. Has this sort of thing happened before? Never. Or our order would have started to resemble the Fangs a long time ago. Perhaps there's a reason this has happened now. She scowls. Let us be clear. You suggest that there's some misdeed in our midst, that we've committed a crime against our goddess or some other and received our just punishment. Onward, please. He lays a hand on her shoulder. She shakes his hand off. I don't know why these things happen. Why our own mother goddess allowed scores of her followers to perish among flames. She narrows her eyes, speaking between her teeth. And if you ever discover why, I invite you to come back and tell the rest of us. How did the dragon come to be here? With a great beat of wings and a fiery roar. Who knows why those beasts come and go? It's here, and that's what matters. If you're asking why this has happened, only the gods know. I suspect it's a test of faith from Hylia herself, but who could say? Well said, Hervaeus interrupts with a chuckle. These two have a little bit of whale in them. He breathes in deeply, smiling as if awash in the smell of baked goods. This is a mystical playground controlled by unknowable deities. There are so many other things to worry about than the how and why of, well, anything. When did the dragon first show up? He looked skyward, thinking. It was several weeks ago. The creature cloaked the sky like a thundercloud and descended upon us all at once. There was no warning. Can you tell me anything else about the dragon? She opens her mouth, a crooked sneer on her face, but seems to think better of whatever she was about to say. After a pause, she says, nothing. We truly wish we could tell you more, but we, like the rest of Hylia's faithful, were running for our lives, and we were more fortunate than most. That's all I wanted to know about the dragon. Goodbye. Alright, let's head back in. so much for it being about 10 hours till I beat the game. There's just more and more quests. It just keeps going.
Keeping an eye out. On the hunt.
I think I see something. I think I see something. Werde Vedan Ansawu.
Need something?
Keeping an eye out.
Sure.
What's this?
Shh.
A thick, snarled tangle of dagger-sharp thorns and vines has grown across this passage. As you look on, the entire wall of vegetation seems to move, almost like it were breathing. Thick coils of vines twist and writhe across the gap with a quiet rustle of foliage. Examine the vines. Through the gaps in the twisted vegetation, you catch brief glimpses of what seems to be a wide circular chamber. From time to time, you catch sight of tawny hides, and the rustling of the vines is briefly obscured by low growls. Try to sneak through the living wall. You find a brief opportunity as two vines move in opposite directions, clearing a path and carefully step forward. You start off well, moving carefully around and past the web of plants, but halfway through, Eder steps on a dry, dead branch, and a vine suddenly darts forward with unnatural speed. The vines tighten mercilessly around Eder's leg, and then soon struggle shakes the surrounding vegetation, stirring it into a writhing frenzy. Eder finally tears their way free, and limps out past the edge of the wall. You step into the next chamber.
Margren's fire casts light in dark places.
Arenzi, an elven woman, intercepts you as you advance into the lair. Behind her is the largest lioness you've ever seen, a sleek beast with fangs as long as carving knives. The woman blocks your paths to the lioness, seemingly to ease around the monster. This is Sol's domain, Estremor. She shall not leave it for Ornos or any other challenger. Why does Sol refuse to face Ornos? Ornos is welcome to confront her here, as many challengers have in the past. What the Bear's supporters want is for Sol to leave her lair and fight out in the open, where he has an advantage. But why should she? If Sol has an advantage here, it's one she's earned. Would anyone expect to blunt the Bear's claws in order to even the odds? The Lord of the Hunt gives unique advantages to each. It's not for us to decide that some of them are worth less than others. The lioness gives a low growl and Irenzi smiles. Also, Sol has recently given birth to cubs. They're small now, but when they grow, they'll be mightier than either Sol or Ornos. But if Sol's killed in combat, that bear will tear her young to shreds. Such is the way of the wild. Her legacy is too valuable to perish this way. If we truly want the mightiest of beasts in the maw, then her cubs must grow to maturity. What are you doing here, Sol? She looks at the lion with something in between fondness and admiration, defending the rightful champion of Galawain's maw. Ornos supporters would have her ousted in favor of a bear that isn't strong enough to come and seize the territory on his own. I'll deal with Ornos. Good, that bear isn't nearly as strong as Einden as his followers think. If someone were to prove just how easily that bear can be killed, that would cure everyone of their delusions about it. Hervé glares at you with a worried smirk. I wonder what Galawain will think of all this. His great lioness gets someone else to deal for a challenger. He falls silent for a moment before becoming instantly cheerful. And I would love to watch someone other than me offend the Seeker God. I can't wait to see how he tests them for their lack of decisiveness.
On the hunt. On the hunt.
Tufts of tawny fern and crushed grasses carpet a small hollow in the back of the cavern.
I think I see something.
Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves.
I think I see something.
Yeah.
I'm on the trail.
What's this? As requested.
Laying low.
I think I see something.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Aiden sighs, spinning his axe by the shaft. Too much waiting. Something's got to happen soon. Ornos, what are you doing here?
We wait for the big confrontation, but the wait grows exhausting.
Ornos isn't the rightful
If
champion.
you stand on the side of that toothless old bag of bones, then you stand in my way.
Try me. Okay, so... let's do that to him. That to there. That to there. That to him. That to him.
Mow it.
Can't get a good shot.
Let's leave this part out of the story. Lavaru beyond seek. Lavaru beyond seek.
Starting to miss my neighbors.
I'm on the trail.
Fine poleaxe, exceptional battle axe, exceptional club. So nothing really good there. So let's go let her know. I've dealt with Oernos. You chose well. Soul's cubs will grow up to be quick and fierce, and so will the Fangs if we follow their example. She looks at the sleek lioness. Thank you for resolving this, Estremor.
Still looking around? Watch your step. Tempers run hot around here, and not just among the animals.
I've dealt with the situation between Sol and Oernos, and Sol remains champion. Many of the Fangs are gladdened to see her stay. Perhaps it's Galawain's way of telling us to remember our roots and prize our cunning as hunters. Thank you for your help, Kareth. May Galawain guide your path. Take this with our thanks. You might visit Terra to pray to the Lord of the Hunt. He sometimes grants such special favors for those who prove themselves. One-handed sword. Might be an upgrade for him. Shocking. Let's do Burning Lash. Slain. Kith? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Let's use that instead. And let's see if he can use a saber to a decent ability. He's kind of better off with the hatchet and spear. There's so much to explore here. There's this Noon Frost. Been to Hylia's Shrine. I guess there's not that much to explore. It's just, it feels like it's never ending. I mean, look at how big my quest list is ballooned now. I think I'm gonna save and call it there. I need a break. I appreciate it, everyone who stopped by, and I'll be back tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. EST, hopefully to finish this up, but I'm not... If I do the DLC plus all the side quests, I've probably got another 20-30 hours I'm looking at. I don't know if I have that in me. I think I may just have to forge ahead with the main quest and to hell with everything else. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a save before I beat the game so that I could go back at some point and 100% it. But, I don't know. I'm just ready for something less RPG and more action-y. And this game, I'm almost 60... I'm just under 60 hours in this game. I'm ready for a break. So, we may just forge ahead on the main quest and keep a save before we kill what I'm assuming is Teos. So, I'm gonna go take a break, get some food in me, rest. Y'all have a good evening. Take it easy. See ya. Bye.